There are 4 works by Marie Watt in this exhibition. The first large-scale work is a piece entitled Witness, and this is a work on a reclaimed blanket. It's on a double-wide Hudson's Bay trade blanket and embroidery. The scene on the work is inspired by a photo Marie found in the archives of the Royal British Columbia Museum, so in Vancouver, of a Kwamachan potlatch on Vancouver Island in 1913. Potlatch is a ceremony that is common to many Native American peoples in the Northwest, so on both sides of what we now consider a border. Potlatches were banned in both Canada and the United States from the 1880s all the way up to the 1950s. So this photograph that was taken in 1913 is documenting something which Marie says we can understand as an act of civil disobedience. At the time in which she was working on this piece, it was also 2015. With this resurgence and development of the Black Lives Matter movement, she sort of found this resonance between these 2 different kinds of gatherings and protests. And so you'll see that in the work of art, the hands that are sort of upraised, reaching for the blanket, which is part of what's being thrown to the crowd from the host family, she has interpreted as if they're part of a crowd who's protesting. On the lower right part of the piece, you'll see that she has inserted herself and her daughters into the composition as contemporary witnesses to this historic event, but also wanting to kind of emphasize the idea of, despite all of the efforts to quell the potlatches, that it was this uncut tradition. A very important part of Marie's practice is community-based, and that manifests in many ways, but one of those ways is a sewing circle, and these are events that she holds in her studio or at the different art institutions or other kinds of spaces. And the idea for her of a sewing circle, this is where people are contributing their stitches to a work of art that's in process. But for her, the sewing circle is actually the thing in itself. It's not, doesn't exist just to create work, but it does its own work. And part of that is about this, and Marie says this all the time, like when your hands are busy and your eyes are averted, then conversation flows. So it's about creating a forum and a space to foster community. We collaborated with Marie to host a couple of sewing circles here during the first week of the exhibition. There was one that was held in the gallery in front of her work on opening day, but we also collaborated with several campus partners to host a larger community sewing circle in which over almost 150 people attended and contributed their stitches. The piece that they worked on, Marie took that back to her studio, and then she worked on it to create a new work of art, which we installed in the gallery opposite Witness. The work itself is entitled Companion Species, Ferocious Mother, and Canis Familiaris. It's her first foray into creating a large-scale work that consists solely of text. So it's like 18 feet long and 9 feet tall, and it's all text. And she really was thinking about the aesthetics of like the way the words are written, coming out of the aesthetics of homemade protest signs, the kind that people are writing, and love the way in which those signs really have a sense of the individuality of people and kind of be a stand-in for the voice. The words that are included in this piece were generated through conversations and free association and research. Marie has this long-standing interest of the symbiotic relationship between humans and the animal and natural world that is influenced by her Seneca worldview. In Seneca worldview, animals are considered to be first teachers. When you have that as your point of reference, it gives you a different way of understanding how you're supposed to relate to all living things.